Hey guys, how's it going? This is Natinator, and pretty much I'm just running straight on from the last recording session, which only lasted like 12 minutes because I underestimated the fucking length of the game, and fuck it, we're just gonna go. Chapter 3, Encounter. I am pumped as for this next thing. Oh, we're with Satoshi, okay. Let's see. Tension 5. Is that a 23? Or is it a 33? Mr. Yamazaki's handwriting is atrocious. This really wasn't my day. I knocked over my alarm clock this morning, and of course it stopped working. The very last pork sandwich sold out right before my eyes during lunch. Then I was roped into a favor when I happened upon my homeroom teacher, Mr. Yamazaki, long after the school day had ended. So now, like it or not, I was on my way to deliver some notes to Miss Yui, our homeroom TA, who was out sick with a cold. I'll have to make sure to apologize to Yuka later. I know how disappointed she'll be that I'm missing our shopping date. Tension 523, number 11. Found it. As long as this doesn't actually read 633, number 77. Anyway. I stopped and compared the memo in my hand with the apartment building in front of me. It was 2 stories tall and looked a little on the shabby side. Probably about 20 years old. It didn't seem very solid, nor was it particularly stylish or chic. Or is that chic? I don't know. It was a completely unremarkable structure in every way. Apartment 207? Or is that 201? I was really getting fed up with this handwriting, and from a teacher no less. In any case, it seemed certain the apartment was on the 2nd floor. So I trudged up the startlingly narrow, steep stairs. The metal staircase was thoroughly blotched with patches of rust. Why would someone live in such a run-down apartment building? A teacher's salary's really that low? I felt a little sorry for her, but in a way, this place kind of fit her personality. With that thought in mind, I turned my attention toward apartment 201. Here we are. 201. Yeah, this doesn't look like Miss Yui's place. The door plate for the room nearest the stairs had a name I didn't recognize scribbled on it. Guess that means we try door number 2. Passing room 201, I continued down the narrow walkway toward the end. Wandering alone around an apartment building I'd never been to before made me feel kinda nervous. It wasn't like I was doing anything wrong, but my back still tensed up as I maneuvered around piled-up strollers, plastic toys, and bundles of newspapers. And then finally, I arrived at the last door. Bingo! This was it. I breathed a sigh of relief. The door plate for 207 read, Shishido. For an adult's handwriting especially, the letters were rounded and overly cutesy. This was Miss Yui's place, all right. What's this? I leaned in to read something written in small script on the corner of the door plate. Beware of... cat? Shouldn't that be beware of dog? That's Miss Yui for you. So how exactly does one beware a house cat? Is it even possible for a house cat to be threatening? At any rate, I'd confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt that this was Miss Yui's place, so my errand was nearing its end. What was Mr. Yamazaki thinking anyway? I understand taking handouts to sick classmates, but delivering class notes to the home of an absent teacher? That just seems weird. This isn't something a student should be doing. He'd said he was busy with meetings, though, and really needed one of his students to help him out. But was it really okay to entrust a school student with confidential class notes? Wouldn't it be kind of a problem if I were to read these? My mind kept drifting from one question to another, and I'd become acutely aware of the inherent value in these notes I held in my bag. But tempting as it was, I just couldn't bring myself to look at them. Mr. Yamazaki put his faith in me after all. And I was stronger than that. I couldn't let this get the best of me. At any rate, I was here. I should have just been able to drop off the notes and be on my way. Putting all my doubts and misgivings aside, I rang the doorbell. And then I waited. And waited. And waited some more. But there was no answer. Huh? It did ring, didn't it? Miss Yui! I rang the bell again, and also tried calling out. But there was still no response. Now, what should I do? Maybe she's sleeping. I don't want to wake her, but I am a little concerned. When we'd heard that Miss Yui was staying home sick today, we were all pretty disappointed. That's why part of me was actually a little happy that I was asked to run these over to her. I figured I'd be able to check in, see how she was doing, and let everyone at school know that she was feeling better. It never occurred to me that I might not even be able to see her, though. Miss Yui! Miss Yui! Nothing? Huh. Miss Yui! Hello? She was probably sleeping, or out at the doctor's or something, but what if she were hurt? I tried opening the mail slot and peeking in. I thought maybe I could get a glimpse of the room inside. Miss Yui. It felt kind of wrong peeking into someone's house without their permission, but I was legitimately worried about Miss Yui's health, so my conscience was clear on this one. Ah! Oh, the cat. A well-groomed cat was facing the door and staring back at me. With its head tilted slightly to the side, it let out an adorable meow. This must be the cat I was instructed to beware. And since Miss Yui was always going on and on about her little buddy, I was pretty sure I remembered his name. You're Moray, right? Oh no, it's Monet, I think. Yeah, Monet. What a pretty kitty you are, Monet. Miss Yui talked about her cat a lot in class, so pretty much the whole school had heard of him. She even had some tins of cat food hidden on a shelf in the classroom, probably because she'd bought too much and had no room for them in her apartment. Here, kitty kitty. Monet? Monet? Is Miss Yui home? If she's home, would you mind waking her up for me? That's a good kitty. Yeah, didn't think that would work. My shoulders sank. I felt defeated. What the hell was I doing? I closed the mail slot and stood back up. Damn. I sure hope Miss Yui's alright. She's probably just out right now or something. Which would mean the door's locked, I'm sure. Lost in this speculation, I placed my hand on the doorknob. And with a quick twist, I turned it and pushed on the door, opening it easily. Huh? It wasn't locked? Crap, that's not good. I can't let Monet get out. Haha, your master is pretty careless, huh? Leaving the door unlocked like that. Monet's whiskers twitched as I called out to him from the entranceway. What's that you say? She is? Haha, you and I are on the same page, Monet. Here I was, talking to a cat. Was this what I'd become? What should I do? I was feeling pretty uneasy. Not only had I peeped into someone's home, I'd walked in without a second thought. Moreover, this was where Miss Yui lived, Alone. In other words, a woman's apartment. No matter how many times I reminded myself that I was here on errand, I couldn't help feeling that I'd not only crossed a line, but leaped over it. Miss Yui. I tried calling her name out one last time, but as expected there was no answer. So, what now? I was trying hard to avoid being too nosy, but my eyes inevitably began surveying the room. The apartment entrance led out immediately into the kitchen, and beyond that, there was a sliding door to some other room. I could see light through the gaps. I strained my ears, but there was nothing to hear. No signs of life whatsoever. Miss Yui really must have been out. One more time. I tried calling out to her one more time, just to put my concerns at ease. I felt like I'd seem even more suspicious if I stayed silent. Miss Yui! It's Mochida! Still nothing. Maybe she was asleep on the other side of that door. Let's just have a little look-see. Then... Wait! Shaking my head furiously, I cast out that sudden impulse. That was a terrible idea, pure and simple. Entering the apartment unannounced was bad enough, but walking all the way in, opening that sliding door and peeking inside, that was just too much. Man, if Miss Yui happened to come home and find me standing here, I'd be in pretty hot water, huh? No, scratch that. I'd be in plentiful, dense, scalding water. Monet mewed, as if in agreement. Panicking, I once again surveyed my surroundings. I almost felt like there were eyes on me, staring with disdain. But, of course, nobody was there. Why did that make a really creepy sound like that? Okay, just gonna continue on and pretend nothing happened. Oh, right. I can just leave a note. Wondering why I didn't think of this sooner, I dug into my bag for some paper and a pen. Mr. Yamazaki asked me to come by. That should be enough, right? I'll just use some notebook paper. Let's see. Miss Yui. Crouching in the doorway, I ran my pen across the page. I brought class notes at Mr. Yamazaki's behest. Everyone has been worried about you. Sorry about barging into your apartment. Please don't forget to lock your door from now on. As I was writing the note, I sensed a presence in front of me. Until just a moment ago, this house had no signs of human life in it, but now I could feel someone standing directly ahead. Standing and looking down at me. Huh? Fidgeting nervously, I put down my pen, raised my head slowly, and saw a white, slender... Oh, that music. Ankle. Shocked, I shot my head up, and there, standing before me, was Miss Yui. Ah! Miss Yui! She was looking right at me, but she seemed decidedly out of sorts. Her hair looked disheveled, her gaze was unsteady, and her pajamas were in complete disarray. She was like a completely different person from the usual kempt educator we'd come to know and love. Ah, Miss Yui, I'm so sorry to have entered your apartment without permission. Here. I stood up frantically and held out the note I'd been writing. But... Huh? Miss Yui was just standing there, stupefied, with a completely vacant expression on her face. "Miss Yui?" I called out to her as gently as I could. But she was really dazed. She seemed almost like a ghost. "Miss Yui, what happened to you?" I had a sudden uneasy feeling. Worried, I walked up to Miss Yui, grabbed her shoulders and tried to snap her out of it by shaking her. But instead... Ah! This just seemed to make her cough. Hey, Miss Yui! These were wet, productive coughs, and spit was shooting out of Miss Yui's mouth with each one. I frantically tried to shield my face from the spray, but my reaction time just wasn't quick enough. Ugh. I put a hand to her cheek, and found it thick with a slimy film of saliva. Are you okay, Miss Yui? Miss Yui hobbled back a little, then fell to her knees with a thud. She had completely sprawled out in the hallway, moaning and groaning the whole time. Miss Yui? Wiping the spatterings from my own face, I leaned over and took a better look at hers. It was bright red. Strained breathing, a stuffy nose, and a visibly high fever on top of it all. She was sick as could be. I'm cold. Cold? But you're dripping with sweat. It's cold. I thought maybe her sweat had cooled her down, but then realized her disheveled pajamas certainly weren't doing her any favors. With heart pounding a mile a minute and face red as a traffic light, I set about buttoning her up. Miss Yui, you know who this is, right? It's Mochida, from school? If you're cold, you need to sleep under your covers. Otherwise, you won't get any better. She absent-mindedly extended her shaking arms like a zombie, slowly reopened her eyes and looked up at me. It was the gaze of a severely fevered mind. Miss Yui, Tsukasa. What? Ah! Tsukasa! Tsukasa! Eh? Miss Yui was clinging to me tightly. I couldn't move. I was frozen in shock. She began to weep. You've come for me, Tsukasa. Who's Tsukasa? What a lovely surprise. I'm so glad you're here. Miss Yui, wait! You've got the wrong person! It seemed like I wasn't getting through to her at all. And the sensation of her chest as she held me was making it virtually impossible to fight her grip. I was utterly powerless against this opponent. I'd never realized before just how soft a woman's chest really was. God, am I that weak-willed? I had to remind myself that Miss Yui had me confused with someone else. Mustering all the strength I could, I gripped her arms and tried to pry them off of me. But she was a lot stronger than I'd anticipated and wouldn't let me get away. I was so scared, Tsukasa. I was so scared. Scared? I never thought you'd actually come. As she squeezed me tightly, I felt as though my upper body might collapse under the pressure of her softest parts. I was blushing uncontrollably. Miss Yui, please let go. No, I won't. Come on, Miss Yui. I struggled to wiggle free, but Miss Yui only grabbed me tighter. Our bodies were getting more and more intertwined. and every time I squirmed, Miss Yui would just pull me in even closer. Tsukasa. Ah! As her chest rose and fell erratically, droplets of sweat slid down into her cleavage. God. I could feel the heat of her fever radiating off of her steadily encroaching face, as well as the shoulders I'd grabbed in an effort to push away. Stay here with me, Tsukasa. Please. I'm telling you, you've got the wrong person. Questions were swirling around in my head. Why was Miss Yui crying? Who was this Tsukasa person? But I was most concerned for the state of her pajamas, which had become even more disheveled during our struggle. Miss Yui, your pajamas, your pants. They're sliding down. Tsukasa, you're so warm. Miss Yui, please. Realizing that not a single word was getting through to her, I sighed resignedly. I'd taken care of Yuka any number of times when she'd caught a cold and drawn a fever, but I don't recall it ever getting this bad. Miss Yui was usually calm, collected, and rational. Who would have ever imagined that a fever could leave her so thoroughly discombobulated? Miss Yui, seriously, pull yourself together. I put more strength into my resistance, and finally her arms relaxed just the tiniest bit, but her expression changed drastically. No, please. Miss Yui, I am Satoshi Mochida, not this Please don't go, please! Miss Yui was acting like a spoiled child. Slipping out of the shoes I'd still been wearing, I again drew close to her sprawled out form. There was no way I could just leave her here like this. I sure hope none of this seems too sketchy after your fever breaks. Miss Yui let out a lethargic groan, perhaps in response to my quiet murmurings. At my wit's end, I grabbed hold of her and did my best to carry her into the back room. Gently wheeling her over to the unfurled futon, I then carefully laid her down, making sure I didn't drop her in the process. Then there was the matter of rebuttoning those pesky pajamas again. I hesitantly pulled up her pajama bottoms and brushed away the stray hairs that were plastered to her brow with sweat. I'd done my best to avoid seeing anything I shouldn't, but I am a guy, so my heart was pounding the whole time. Miss Yui's pajamas were soaked through with sweat. She really might have been better off with a change of clothes altogether. But no, that would have been going way too far. I wish I could find a towel or something so I could at least wipe some of that moisture away. Noticing a convenience store bag carelessly tossed to the floor, I glanced inside. Hey, she already bought cold packs. Why wasn't she using them? Jeez. Miss Yui, this might be a little cold, but bear with me, okay? Alright, I think that'll help. I placed one of the compressors on her forehead and pulled the covers over her. Miss Yui appeared almost instantly relieved. She exhaled contentedly, and her breathing became more relaxed. Finally, she was asleep. Zzz. Even in sleep, Miss Yui seemed to be suffering. Oh, Monet, were you worried about your master? I don't blame you. When Mr. Yamazaki said she was sick, I had no idea it would be this bad. Monet had coiled up on my legs, without me noticing. I began absent-mindedly speaking to him. He mewed in response, and our conversation ended there, as my gaze was still fixed squarely on Miss Yui. So, What do I do now? Miss Yui? I guess that's a snoring sound maybe, so it's like... are you okay to be alone right now? She wasn't in any condition to respond. But... Miss Yui... Miss Yui's hand slipped out from under the futon and was gently grasping my pant leg. Hey. Her grip was much weaker than before, but I knew I'd probably regret it if I went home now. Miss Yui just seemed really lonely. Well, guess I'll settle in then. Without disturbing Miss Yui's hold on me, I took a seat beside her. For the time being, I figured I'd watch over her and make sure her condition didn't worsen. Occasionally, Miss Yui's breathing would become ragged, and she'd furrow her brow. She was in a pretty bad way. Poor thing. Wasn't there anything else I could do? I glanced quietly down the hallway. I'd noticed when I carried Miss Yui here that the kitchen near the entrance was perfectly neat and tidy. There wasn't any indication it had been used that day at all. I wonder if she's eaten anything. Monet's gaze shifted suddenly. I followed it and saw pet bowls laid out in the corner of the room. One dish was filled to the brim with water, and the other was piled high with dry cat food. I see someone's eating well around here, huh? Even delirious with fever, she's still taken a real good care of you. But that's not good, Miss Yui. You should be thinking about your own meals first. I shook my head at the whole situation, then glanced down at Monet, who was tilting his head, as if trying to understand me. I broke into a wry smile. When I'd pulled out the cold packs, I did notice some cheap convenience store food in the bag as well. I guess that was going to be her food for the day. Not exactly the best stuff to eat when you're sick. There's rice and eggs at least. Maybe I'll make egg porridge or something. Miss Yui, may I borrow your kitchen? Her face was bright red, and her half-pained, half-contented noises provided me with no clear-cut answer to my question. Don't think I'm gonna get much out of her. How about you, Monet? Do I have your permission to use the kitchen? Excellent, thank you. Monet's cries helped assuage, I don't know, my guilt over entering a woman's apartment and borrowing her kitchen. Not that I had any reason to feel guilty. I don't think anyway. I mean, circumstances were what they were. Still, I had this nagging sense that I should have somehow felt bad about what I was doing. Excuse me, please, Miss Yui. I'm gonna need to get up. One by one, I gently peeled off each of the fingers latched onto my pant leg. The expression on her face changed as I was doing so, from contented rest to mild annoyance, but there was nothing to indicate that she might wake up. Alright then, let's see what we can do, shall we? As I stood up, Monet mewed happily and began tagging along at my heels. Achoo! And Miss Yui, now resting by herself in the bedroom, let out a sudden sneeze. Well, Book of Shadows Episode 3 Encounter. Achoo! Eek. Okay, that was really weird, eek. Right. Come on, Yui. Gross, I just got sprayed. Sorry. I've got a real tingle in my nose today for some reason. Honestly. Tissues, huh? Where'd I put them? Oh, wow. Did I get that much on you? Here, use one of mine. It's the least I can do. Great. Don't mind if I do. What? She was talking to me. May I have one too, please? Let's see. Here we go. Thanks. You guys really should keep extras with you, you know? Well, sorry. Honestly. So what were we talking about again? You remember? We were talking about what it's like to be seniors now. Oh, I know, right? Can it really just be one more year before we graduate? While graduation is important, don't forget there's life afterward to think about as well. Our careers. Oh. No, I really don't want to think about that. Well, there is a reason we've been subjected to all these career counseling sessions, and it's because our futures are just big question marks right now. No kidding. What are we gonna do with our lives? It's scary. Any ideas, Yui? You have any plans for the future? Actually, I got it all figured out. What? Well, don't leave us hanging. Out with it, girl. Well, my name is Yui Shishido. I'm 17 and my dream is to be a teacher. I butt into the lives of others without a second thought, and I spend most of my time doing nothing important. But I believe that even someone like me can make her dreams come true, with enough hard work. Kizaragi Academy, 5 years ago. The cherry blossoms were in bloom, and the rustling wind carried with it the soft warmth of the season. I was a high school senior now, and was devoting myself to my studies in preparation for the day my dream could become reality. And that dream was to become an English teacher. My grades are on the fence for getting into university I wanted though. So my best bet was to score a special recommendation from the academy. Phew, that was a lucky break. When I got called to the office, I had no clue what it might be about. After school one day, I was summoned to the teacher's staff room. I was freaking out that maybe I'd failed or my grades weren't good enough for the school I wanted to go to, or something terrible like that. But it turns out my fears were all for naught. You have no rival in our academy, they said. So if you keep working hard, we'll be happy to give you a recommendation. Man, was that ever a pick-me-up. I feel like I could take on the world now. I'm going to have to make sure I don't let this chance slip me by. So, this trash can, why exactly is it so ridiculously heavy again? Carrying this beast to the dumpster is going to be the death of me. Hey. I turned around, still holding the garbage can. The voice belonged to a male student I'd never spoken with before. I'd seen him around a lot, though. His name was Tsukasa Mikuni, from Class 7. Watch your step. There's a root sticking out of the ground here, and it's pretty easy to trip on. Huh? Ah! What? Ah! Ow. Hey, what's the big idea laughing at someone else's misfortune? Well, it's... It's not funny. Shouldn't you be asking if I'm okay or something? My bad. Oh, you don't have to help clean up. You'll get your hands dirty. Don't worry about it. It's the least I can do after laughing like that. Thanks. No prob. That should be everything, right? Yeah, looks like it. Cool. Let's go then. Huh? Ah! I remember it well, even now. This was my first time talking with Tsukasa, and he left a strong first impression on me. That's really kind of you. Isn't it heavy, though? Not especially. I am the one assigned to take it. Maybe I should... It's fine, really. There. Everything in its place. Thank you so much. You're a huge help. Catch you around. Hey, hold up. I feel like I should do something nice for you in return. Don't worry about it. Your thanks is plenty. Look, just wait there a second, okay? Making a new friend is always great, but when it happens to be Tsukasa Mikuni, it's all the better. He'd kinda been on my mind for a while. There we go. Most of the times I'd seen Tsukasa before this were in the school courtyard. He spent a lot of time there sitting alone on a bench. Even after school or during summer vacation, if I happened to pass by, I'd always see him there. And after this little encounter, we'd go on to make many fond memories together. Yet somehow, the image of Tsukasa that stands out most in my mind is of him seated alone on that courtyard bench. For you, I hope Cafe Ole is alright. Sure, I guess. Anything's fine, really. Thanks. You know, it's customary when receiving a gift to quietly accept it without any off-handed remarks. Well, aren't we a stickler for tradition? We walked to the bench together, sat down and began making small talk. That courtyard bench was a sort of mystical place. The leaves rustled over your head, and if you closed your eyes and opened your ears, it felt as though you were in the middle of some forest. And then if you looked straight up, the sunlight poured in through the leaves, and you almost felt like you were in another world. This is one of the first times I've ever actually sat on one of these benches. It's pretty nice, right? It is. It's lovely. Haha. Yeah, it really is. Oh? So is that why? Huh? Well, you come here an awful lot, right? Like, even after school and during summer vacation. I sure do. So you must really like this place then, huh? Yeah, I guess I do. Well, then there we go. The leaves rustled as a gentle breeze blew between us. We were both silent for a bit, but strangely it didn't feel awkward or uncomfortable. So, aren't you gonna ask? Ask what? What I'm always doing here by myself, or something. You're always here because you like this spot, right? Well, yeah. Is there some other reason then? Not really. So what would be the point of me asking? Well, you've got me there. But people normally ask me if it's boring being here by myself, or tell me they don't get it, or say I'm a weirdo or something. Really? I don't know. I guess I just don't think of it that way. The way I see it, if you like it here, then why not come here whenever you can? Guess that makes you the weirdo then. What? Hey, don't make that face. Coming from me, that's a compliment. What? Calling someone a weirdo is supposed to be a compliment. You bet it is. I'm not sure I buy that. You're mean. The expression on Tsukasa's face was a dead giveaway that he really enjoyed talking to me. And I've always loved the feeling I get when I know my words helped brighten someone's day. I must have been sporting one hell of a goofy smile at that moment, Hmm? Actually, there's a place at this school that I like even more than here. Oh? Where's that? I'm not telling. What? It's my special place. Which means it must be a totally awesome place, right? Yep. Aw, I really want to see it. Come on. No way. I can't spill the beans that easy. Besides, the view there isn't nearly as consistent. Laughing, Tsukasa finished up his drink, then grabbed the now empty trash can he'd carried to the dumpster for me. You treated me to coffee, so please, allow me to take this up to the classroom for you. What? Are you sure? You bet. Thanks. I'm in Class 4, if I'm not mistaken. You're the famous Yui Shishido, after all. Huh? How did you... You're that girl who already looks like she could be a teacher. I don't think there's a student in any of our 12 classes who doesn't know your name. What? From then on, Tsukasa and I met in that courtyard many times. We didn't really talk in the halls, but something about that place spurred our conversation. Cafe au lait again? Yep. Doesn't that get a little old? Not really. You drink at least 2 a day though, right? Hey, how'd you know that? Seen it with my own eyes. There's a perfect view of the vending machine from here, after all. There is? Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Oh, wow, no kidding. Doesn't matter if it's after school or summer break. Shishido buying cafe au lait is like old faithful. You could set your watch by it. Well, then I guess we're even, since I always see you sitting on this bench. What? You back on that again? Sure am. I guess I just find it interesting that we both took notice of each other's quirky habits. Weirdo. Our conversations in the courtyard were usually just silly. It was like talking to a good friend in class. Shallow, but genuinely enjoyable. It's always so cool here, even in summer. Ugh, don't mention summer. Hmm? Why, you don't like it? Not with summer school right around the corner. That'd be enough to make anyone run for the hills. I guess so. But we're seniors now. It comes with the territory, you know? The time for fun and games is over. I don't know. You seem like you're still having a lot of fun to me. Well, I am a bit of a special case. I'm just happy because I feel like my dream might actually come true. Oh? I just enjoy teaching things to people and having others depend on me. Why's that? I guess it makes me feel like a big sister or something. And since I'm an only child, you know? Oh, okay. Well, good luck with that then. Wow, that was about as dismissive a comment as you can get. Hey, not like I can do anything about it, you know? Despite his occasional boorishness, I still felt that oh my god. Tsukasa was a kind soul. If nothing else, he never actually laughed at my dream. And in a high school crowd, most people don't take you very seriously when you say you're trying to become a teacher. Tsukasa wasn't like most people, I guess. The season was quickly turning to autumn. After the school day ended, the senior floor was always a lot more quiet than its underclassmen counterparts. Everyone was off studying hard at the library or with tutors. So one day, thinking no one else was around, I sat down in a lonely corner of the hallway. Initially I'd grabbed my shoes and left the classroom intending to head home. But along the way, I just started crying. I was overwhelmed. My sobs echoed from one end of the hallway to the other. That day, I had finally received a special recommendation to my top choice university. I was so excited, I just wanted to tell someone. So I told my friend Tomoe, but her usually supportive demeanor took on a somewhat harsher edge. Quit rubbing it in my face. You know I'm still totally undecided about my future, right? My expression must have changed pretty drastically. Tomoe's eyes suddenly widened and she quickly apologized. So I smiled and told her I didn't care. That's what I said anyway. But how couldn't I care? Tomoe's dismissive words struck me like a dagger to my chest. I'm so insensitive sometimes. I wonder if everyone else feels the same about me. I kept wiping the tears from my eyes, only for new ones to take their place immediately. Why didn't I think of this sooner? So many people were still facing uncertain futures with no real goals in mind, and I was completely oblivious to it. I was the one with a dream, running around like the cock of the walk and blabbing about my successes and aspirations. I wouldn't blame them if they hated me. Could someone that insensitive to the feelings of so many other people really become a teacher? Did I ever even have what it takes to begin with? Shishido. I quickly turned toward the voice that had called out to me and found Tsukasa standing there. We'd never said a word before when passing each other in the hall, but he spoke to me that day with no reservations, as if we were old chums. Tsukasa. Your face is a mess. Do you have a handkerchief? Yeah. Then wipe your face. Okay. Tsukasa's concern and confusion was clearly written on his face. I didn't want to cause him any trouble or worry him, so I began frantically wiping my eyes. Did something happen? No, everything's fine. You're crying an awful lot for someone who's got no problems. No, it's just... there was a little misunderstanding between a friend and I. But we patched it up right away, so it's alright, really. Pardon me. These are, something like tears of happiness, I guess. Yep, see? I just found out that I got I'm not sure if I did it out of respect for Tsukasa, or just because I wanted to change the subject, but I cut myself off mid-sentence. I was doing it again. What was I thinking? Now even Tsukasa was going to hate me for being a braggart. Hell, I hated myself. I was the worst. Just the worst. But... whoa, really? He was happy for me. A bit taken aback, I nodded firmly. You did it then! Congrats! Yeah, thanks. Thank you. So what's with the waterworks? Even with the recommendation, you still have to take an entrance exam, right? Yeah. So isn't it a little early to be crying tears of joy? Yeah, maybe so. I was just really happy that you congratulated me. Oh, come on now. Sorry. For what? For crying like this, without even knowing why. If you don't know why you're doing it, then how about you hurry up and dry those tears? Sure, I think I'm fine now anyway. I swear. As I rubbed my swollen eyes, a smile broke through. and Tsukasa let out an exasperated sigh. Then, as if suddenly remembering something, his eyes lit up. "Oh hey, wait here a sec." "Hmm? Okay." Tsukasa ran into his classroom, quickly reappearing in the hall just moments later. He was holding something. "Here, I want you to have this." "A pencil?" In his outstretched hand rested a short, stubby little pencil. Not the sort of thing you'd expect someone to go out of their way to lend you. It was pocked here and there with small scratches, but it still seemed to be in relatively decent shape considering how obviously well worn it was. "A pencil for guaranteed success." Guaranteed success? "Use it on your test and you'll pass for sure." "What? Really?" "Yep. They told me I'd never pass the entrance exam for Kisaragi Academy. But, well, here I am, and I owe it all to this pencil." "So, this is the same pencil you were using back when you took your high school application tests?" "Sure is. It really jerked out a miracle." I assume you mean worked out a miracle, right? Not that that's a thing either." Yeah, that." "At any rate, I shall happily take you up on your kind offer. Thanks." "But listen, I'm only lending it to you until you've finished your test. You'll have to give it back afterwards so I can use it for my entrance exams. Okay? And whatever you do, don't fail the exam." "Right." I took the pencil and nodded, smiling. This time, Tsukasa returned my smile. "You're a really unique person, you know that? It's hard to believe how much you let other people's problems get to you. You'll make an amazing teacher." "What?" For a moment I had no idea what he was talking about, but then it hit me. Tsukasa had somehow sussed out from our conversation that I was crying because I'd upset Tomoe. And he was turning that fact around to offer me encouragement. "Good luck. Don't let it get to you." Flutter? What the hell does a flutter sound like? Let's just move on. "I'd heard you shouldn't wish someone luck in times of stress, as it just adds more pressure. That's why people tell actors to break a leg instead. But I didn't care. Taboo or not, I cherished his kind words. I'll do my best, Tsukasa." Good, glad to hear it. That's when I really started to fall for him. But it didn't seem like he noticed, and there wasn't any indication that he felt the same way anyway. I can still clearly recall the events of that day even now. It was October, the day before my entrance exam. The weather outside had been miserable since morning, and visibility was all but non-existent.